You're listening to the Studio PTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the Studio PTBO podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest. My name is Cody from Studio PTBO. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you for listening back on iTunes or Spotify. I want to say thank you for that. We're getting quite a few downloads there, so that's super appreciate that more than anything. Really, the goal here is to provide marketing and mindset knowledge to help you build, grow, and scale your business online. If you're a marketer, you're a real estate agent, you're an entrepreneur that's looking to grow, you've come to the right place, because today I have a very, very special guest. Vikram Deol, my man, what is up? What is happening? This is going to be a really, really, really exciting session that we're going to do here today. We're going to talk all things marketing, sales, the Real Estate Growth Academy, what the heck that is. But before we get into the nitty gritty, why don't you give us a high level overview on who you are, what you do, why you do it, and just kind of give us your backstory in a couple of minutes.
What up? I'm really excited for this guest too. Are they going to be teleporting in sometime soon? Because I have my pen and my notebook ready.
Let's go. Let's go.
Man, I love your intro. I love your energy. I appreciate us finally being able to do this. I'm excited to share. What is my background and experience? I guess I'm a young 40, and in my entire life, I've had 6 months where I actually had a formal job. I say that I'm the most unemployable human in America, and it's because I always believe that I can do better, and that my potential is greater than what somebody's worth of me is. And I remember when I was working for my parents in their restaurant, my older brother, love him to death, and my mom and dad's partner's oldest daughter would sit out at the bar in the front, and it was a pizza place. There'd be a line out the door, and they would be just sitting there chilling, talking to each other, like using the phone at the office or at the pizza place phone as a portable back in the day. And they're just talking to their friends, like hogging up the lines. There's a line out the door. There's people complaining. Toilets are overflowing. Pizzas are piling up. I'm running back and forth. I'm 14. I'm pouring beer, right? Like delivering pizzas at 14. And I remember asking my parents when I was 17, we were graduating. And I got a letter from Cutco Cutlery. They said, hey, we'll pay you $14.50 an appointment. And I didn't know what that meant, but all I knew is that I was making $7 an hour running like a monster doing the job of 5 people at the restaurant. Yeah. And I said to my parents, I said, hey, I've been here for 3 years. I've proven, that I'm worthy of a raise. And I asked for a quarter raise. They said no. And so I quit on the spot. And I went and I started selling knives.
Damn,
and I was like,
aggressive.
man, I mean, dude, like, it's family, and we drank and ate a lot of food there. So we got our fair share of funds out of drinking.
That's why they wouldn't give you a raise. They're like,
you're a 17-year-old alcoholic. I said, probably. But I remember like at that moment, I started to really question self-worth. And it was like, okay, your own family who sees how hard you're working isn't willing to give you a raise.
Interesting.
Why would somebody else give you a raise? And there's this guy in a suit. He doesn't smell like onions and nasty pepperoni all day long. Like he doesn't stink. He's not like, he's got this hot girlfriend. They're driving the Honda Prelude. This is back in 99. Like they got the sick Honda Prelude. And I'm like, why would I want to sit in a pizza kitchen burning myself? I still have scars from the ovens on my arms. Why would I want to sit in the pizza kitchen when I could dress up and be fly like this dude? Like, we always used to tease him. We're like, Mike, you're pretty fly for a white guy, because his name was Mike. And it was super cool. And I started selling knives, man. And they taught me sales skills. They taught me how to use a script. I remember they said, whoever learns the script will make the most amount of money. Dude, I would come home every night. I locked myself in the bathroom because that's the only place where nobody, like my older brother would beat me up. My mom would be yelling. She had the TV on, music. Our house was chaotic. So I'd lock myself in this bathroom on the other side of my parents' house. and I would just sit in there and I would memorize the script. Like I sat on the ground, the toilet was my desk, and I memorized the script at 17 years old, and I sold $7,420 worth of knives in 10 days.
That's crazy.
And set the record. And that was like the beginning of like, holy crap, we have exponential abilities to earn if we make use of the sales and influence skills.
Mm-hmm. So what happened after that? Like after you did the Cutco knives, like what was the kind of the next step in the journey? Because obviously like you're like, a lot of people might already know we co-founded the Real Estate Growth Academy together.
Right.
And people that are listening obviously know that most of them would know that we work with real estate agents.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your real estate background. Like you did the Cutco knives thing. Like talk a little bit about like what happened. How did you get into real estate? What was that like? What did you learn? You started sales early on, but like tell us a little bit about your real estate background.
Yeah. So I got into real estate. I did the knives, sold a lot of knives, right? Managed a lot of people, gained a lot of knowledge on management. At 18, I had a team of 50 people working for me for the summer, which was pretty sexy. And then I got into the telecommunication world. I owned a couple of cell phone stores. And then I got married. I got my MBA. I got married. My wife lived up in Seattle, and she wanted to be closer to her family who was in Canada. And I was like, all right, okay, cool. Like, whatever. Like, we could try out Canada. Seattle. I moved up there in 2009. Well, for those of you who remember, 2009 was a hustling economy. Mm-hmm. It was booming, right? Like everybody was hiring. Nobody was hiring. And I was like, dude, what am I going to do? Right. Yeah. Like I didn't have any money. We had very little money. And so I sold knives for a year and we started flipping houses. So I was able to make $10,000-$15,000 a month selling knives. And then we started flipping houses. And I was the GC on a lot of them. Like we hired dudes from Home Depot. We had to buy our own tools. I got a truck and I started to learn how homes actually worked. I started to see how construction was. I started to see how like people, like skip things and how they can like, skip corners and like I learned from a very detailed perspective, like why roofs leak, why pipes leak, right? I was always into houses. I was always into like using my hands and stuff like that. But being in there, it was like so one of the things I tell everybody is when you're new is go follow an inspector around for a day.
Yeah.
Right. Like go follow an inspector around, learn about the AC units, learn about the windows, learn about the doors, learn about slopes and things of that nature. But that was my kind of like first forte into real estate was I went out and got hard money loans. And at one point we had like $700,000 in hard money loans that we were responsible for in 2 houses. And this was when houses weren't selling for multiple offers and they weren't flying off the shelf like they are now. Fast forward, I ended up getting into real estate sales because my wife and I were going through some tough times in our marriage and I needed money. Like we just remodeled a house, spent like $100,000 extra on it, and she wasn't working. I was a GC and I didn't know what to do. So I was like, okay, I have a license. I'm a real estate agent. Let's go buy some leads. Let's go do some open houses. And bro, like $10 million in the first 9 months or something of my real estate career. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like really high because my buddy's like, yo, I want you to meet this lady. She's killing it. And I looked at her numbers. I was like, dude, I'm like 2 million behind her right now. He's like, what? I'm like, why don't like, is she going to join my team? And I was pretty cocky. Like I was really,
I was
the
early Vikram, like, 30-year-old Vikram was cocky. Okay.
Yeah. The 40-year-old Vikram's a little bit more humbled. He's been kicked a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into real estate though. Like we flipped houses. I never thought I was going to become an agent. And had life situations been different, I probably never would have, but I got into the selling side because it was the highest price thing I could sell that would make me money. Right. Because we were selling like my first listing because I was in Seattle was a $650,000 house. Now, I also groomed myself my entire life, Cody. Like I want to preface this, like I've groomed myself through Cutco to get into those higher price points. So even though my parents were physicians and I grew up in, the nice neighborhood, it takes a little bit of finesse to talk to people that are used to certain things. And when you list a home for somebody who's a, millionaire or a multimillionaire or a decamillionaire, they require certain things. So we built our team around a very high level of service. So I wasn't the big unit guy. I was the big volume guy. Like I wanted to have more freedom. And I don't really like working. So I built a team after a few years that did all the showings, did all the, I would do the listing appointments and my team would take care of everything else.
I'm really interested because obviously like we're working with now, like we launched the Real Estate Growth Academy and, your backstory, like we chat about literally on a weekly basis because we do weekly, Traga demos. And you said over your course of selling real estate, you did over $250 million in real estate sales. Like walk us through maybe like to provide some value to the real estate agents listening. Like what were the 3 steps that you took that were monumental in order to actually grow your team? And I know maybe you can even like throw out there and we'll chop this up and everything. And I'm going to use this for some marketing collateral as well.
Yeah.
But like what I'm thinking is like, what are 3 monumental things that you did in your business that actually helped you go to $250 million in sales? And the second thing is like, I know that you're doing some like obviously coaching with our community and we connected and that's like, we just immediately clicked it off and that's where we launched Traga together. Like, what are these people learning that is in Traga that's shifting their businesses to help them make the right choices and go to the place that they want to go?
So yeah, dude, I love these questions. I love how you make me think here, right before nap time. So the first thing I do, I remember, I remember sitting we were in a rental, me and my ex-wife were in a little rental, single pane windows. It was the middle of winter. It was freezing cold. The sun was actually shining in Seattle, which was a weird occurrence. And I'm calling a coaching company to sign up for a coach because I just came back from a conference and all the top agents, including Ryan Serhant, he was there with $1 Million Listing. And I just came back from a Keller Williams conference. It was a Keller Williams conference. I was trying to be recruited by one of the top agents to join their brokerage. And I came back and I was like, all the top agents have coaches. And I was telling this to my ex-wife and she's like, you're a fucking idiot. like exact words. I said, I'm going to hire a real estate coach. And she looks at me with like no BS. And she goes, you're a fucking idiot. No, you're not. And I'm like, no, I'm going to hire a real estate coach. Like if I'm going to sell real estate, like I'm going to hire a coach. Like it makes sense to hire. And she's just like, no, you're fucking not. And she grabbed my wallet and like hit it. We had a real challenging relationship.
Okay. It sounds like you did. It sounds like a very,
and so then that night, obviously I didn't have my wallet. Like she's yelling at me, just, all these things. And the next morning, I locked myself in the room. I told her like I went to the gym, I needed my wallet, and she thought I forgot about the coaching thing. So I get my wallet, go to the gym, I work out, I come back, I lock my office door, and I pick up the phone, and she like is listening into the door, and I hired a coach, and she's banging on the door, and I remember the rep, saying, and it was $2,500, right? Because I was like, I'll take the middle package, $2,500, right? Just banging on the door, bro. Yeah, like the obscenities that are coming out, right? And and the lady on the phone's like, do you need to talk to her? I'm like, no, it's cool. She's like, are you sure? Like, I think you guys might get a divorce.
Oh God, I'm gonna tag Aldo in this. There is no reason why anymore. Oh man, that's hilarious.
But I knew that it wasn't a $2,500 waste of money. I knew it wasn't an expense. I knew it was an investment because I just can't, bro. It gives me goosebumps. Like I have goosebumps on my arms because I just got back from an agency conference where
Yeah.
the people that were doing 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and $100 million back 10 years ago all had coaches. Every single one of them had a coach. And I was like, okay, step one, hire a coach when I go home. So even though she's screaming bloody murder, I'm going to kill you. Like she's calling my dad on the other line. Like literally my dad's a freaking doctor. She's called, your son's wasting our last dollars. He's putting coaching. My dad doesn't believe in coaching either. So it's a perfect person to call.
Yeah.
And my dad's calling me on the other line. I'm like denying the phone call. Like, she's like, is everything okay over there? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's just normal Monday morning. No big deal. And I hired a coach.
Okay.
I hired a coach and I went all in. And when the coach said jump, I jumped. If the coach told me to wipe my ass, I would wipe I would be like, that seems weird, but you're telling me to do it. I'm pretty sure you want to retain me as a client. Okay. I will jump up and down and spin on a circle, whatever you tell me. Like, cause that's when I was 17, my coach told me, right? Mike Meditz said, Vikram, if you follow this program, and he's like, just read the script, put it in your lap. I'm like, I have it memorized. Vikram, put it in your lap and read it and pretend like you don't know it. And ask Mrs. Jones if it's okay if you have the script in your lap because you're new and you're nervous. I'm like, but I'm not. He's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. He's like, cut the rope, cut the penny, cut the leather, get vegetables out of their fridge. Just do it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, don't ask them. Just get up, walk to their fridge, grab a carrot, grab the cutting board, cut the carrot, grab some knives out of their drawers, figure out their kitchens. And I was like, aren't they going to get mad? He's like, not with you. He's like, you're just going to build rapport and you're going to be funny and you're going to be the lovable little monkey that you are. And I'm like, okay. And I just did what he said. Yeah. And I didn't fight it. And so I made $20,000 in 3 months as a 17-year-old. You know how much weed we smoked that summer? It was insane. It was insane. My friends loved it. Like by 11, by 11:45, I was on my way to the east side, like getting a bag of carne asada and beers, and we were partying all day. And then I'm like, 6 o'clock, I got to roll. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, phone time. They're like, you just partied all day. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's phone time. Like I need somebody to drop me off. I'm intoxicated. I'd go and I'd make 3 hours of calls at night. I'd make 2 hours of calls in the morning. From 7 to 9 in the morning, I made calls. And from 6 to 9, I made calls.
Yeah. It's discipline. So would you say like, how do agents, cause I think like,
how do agents not be lazy?
Yeah. Like, everything, like, and like, in a nice way, I guess, like, I don't know if there's another way to put it, but like,
no, I don't need to be nice to them because if we coddle them, like they've already been coddled their whole life. Yeah. And we're not here to coddle them. We're here to support them. We're here to call them out. Just like when Sharon calls me out, like Sharon's like, Vikram, why do you post that stuff on Instagram? He's like, that you get blacklisted for doing that. He's like, it's not like, unless you're out there making a difference 24/7, don't post stuff that's going to get you blacklisted on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's like, it's stupid. He's like, you're being dumb. He's like, make another account. I don't care. Like get another phone number and do whatever the hell you want. He's like, but on this account that you've paid to have, like you've paid so much time and money and energy to curate it. Why do you do stupid stuff on it? And I'm like, you're right, Sharon.
Yeah.
And you guys, we have coaches to this day. And
totally,
we spend between the two of us, we spend mid 6 figures on coaches.
Yeah.
That call us out when we're being silly. That we're not dumb, but sometimes we do dumb things. We're not lazy. Sometimes we do lazy things. We're not scared, but sometimes there is fear and intrepidation. So I understand when I say, hey, get on the phone and go do certain tasks. Like it's not easy, but if you want to win and you do it, you will win. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I don't say you are lazy. I say sometimes your self-mastery is not yet developed because you didn't need to develop it. And unfortunately, real estate's the profession that, Cody, you know what happens? You know why people become realtors?
Tell me.
They're sitting at their house having Thanksgiving dinner and they're complaining about their job. And somebody goes, oh, you're really nice. You should become a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? It's actually only like 120 hours. I can bang that out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And $1,000 3 months of a course, and boom, now you're a realtor. And unfortunately, that's not how you build success.
Yeah. It's not how you build a business. The cost of entry is super low for any realtor to get in. And that's why 95% of business is done by 5% of the realtors. So other than discipline, and then we talk about this, and correct me, like maybe we talk a little bit about this, like the 4x5, like what was that? Like, I know you taught it about probably, you mentioned it last week when we were doing a demo, like some things that you're doing to create discipline and helping agents create discipline. Like obviously we said the one thing was just creating organization and discipline. Like how can agents do that and actually stick to the script and stick to prospecting and follow up? Because I find they're just not great at it. So what is that strategy that you use?
All right. Before we get into that, why don't we just take a deep breath in? Because we just went on fire there for a second.
Yeah.
So here's the one thing I'll say. I'm going to say this a lot of times, the one thing. So here's the one thing when it comes to prospecting and discipline. 8 to 10 or 9 to 11 every day, no matter what, that's your prospecting time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win? Here, you don't need to hire me. You don't hire me. I don't care. Prospect from 8 to 10 or 9 to 11 every day, Monday through Friday. You will win.
Mm-hmm.
You will win. I know that for my company, it takes me 22 phone calls to get a yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like I can track it. If I want to schedule 5 appointments, Cody, how many calls? 110.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me, I know it takes me 4 conversations, right, to get a yes immediately. And then I have a couple of follow-ups. Mm-hmm. And then I typically get 1 no. So 25% will say yes now. 50% will say, hey, follow up with me. I have other things that I'm working on, right? Mm-hmm. You're just not in my budget and my time or whatever. And 25% right out the gate will say no. Mm-hmm. Out of the 50% that I follow up with, 25% will say yes. 25% will say no. 50% will say, call me in a couple of weeks, right? That's how I build my pipeline. So I know that if I make enough phone calls a day, right, whatever the number is that you want to schedule, that's it. If you make phone calls from 8 o'clock to 10, 2 hours, or 9 o'clock to 11, 2 hours, you will win. Yeah. That's it. You do that every morning, Cody. I don't care what the rest of your day looks like. And then while we're at it, I would love to see my agents, because I know that if your energy is low, because right now 3 or 4 out of our people in our group have low energy. So we spent half an hour talking about energy. And for those of you guys who follow me, I'm big into biohacking. I'm big into health. I'm big into wellness, right? Like I have more energy at 40 than I did at 30. And I had more energy at 30 than I did at 20. And so I'm always trying to figure things out for health and wellness, which is why we took a deep breath in right now. It's why we both drink a gallon of water a day. Schedule your life right first, and then your business second. So schedule the gym, schedule your phone time, schedule date night with your husband, your wife, your children, right? Because if you work so much that your kids never want to see you, I don't care if you make $1 million, you're going to be miserable. And I don't want you to be miserable. I was there. I shut down a real estate company that did 7 figures. We're on our way to $3 million in GCI. And I shut it down overnight because I was like, what's the point? I'm drinking a gallon a day. I'm miserable. I hate my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth it. So I shut down my business, Cody, because I didn't know how to schedule my business after I scheduled my life. So here's all you got to do. Schedule your phone time first. That's mandatory. 8 to 10, 9 to 11. Do that. You're done. Then you schedule date night with your kids and your spouse.
Your calendar, your calendar, actually time block it off in your calendar, work in your calendar, work in Google. Okay.
And your phone is off during those 90 minutes. Like treat that like a $3 million listing appointment, because it's actually worth $10 million.
Yeah.
So treat that like a list. Turn your freaking phones off. I think I've already sworn, but I'm going to try not to from here on out. So you turn your phone off during those times. That will create so much congruency in your household, where when you say on Sunday, hey guys, I got an open house, or hey, I got to go show clients, your kids are gonna be like, Mom, I love you. Good luck. Dad, oh my God, you're so amazing. Your wife's going to pack you lunch, tap you on the butt, kiss you on the cheek, and say, you're the greatest in the world, because you gave them a little bit of time throughout the week and you made them feel special. Yeah,
Yeah.
phone off.
Phone
Right.
off.
And if you don't have an assistant, like give the phone to your kids. Like, if your kids are in their teens, be like, hey, I'm going out with your mother. I'm going to forward my calls to you. I need you to answer my calls, take messages, have fun. Like you won't screw anything up. And if you do, like these people suck, I don't want to work with them anyways. Like no big deal. I have a pipeline. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like if they don't want to have fun and you teach your kids some like lessons, give them like $50 for doing it. Dude, it's like you can make this so freaking fun and cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then schedule gym time, like 3
Yeah.
hours a week for the gym. I don't need you to go for 14 hours of gym time. I just need you to go to the gym 3 hours a week and actually work out. Like, don't go there and socialize. Actually put 3 hours of real, like consistent workout 5 days a week in there. So you're doing it like half an hour for 6 days a week. It's just consistency. Your life will change.
I absolutely love that. I love the discipline. You and I think share the same ethos to life around like if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to happen. It's reality. It's realistic.
100%.
And the other thing that I want to talk about really quickly, and something that we are doing obviously within the Real Estate Growth Academy, for those that don't know, Vikram and I launched the Real Estate Growth Academy together. And the reason that we launched this program was really designed to help agents attract more leads, generate more appointments, and give you the scripts, tools, training, resources you need in order to convert clients and increase your GCI. I want to chat about tracking because you kind of mentioned that a little bit around KPI tracking, because I get on calls all the time with real estate agents and entrepreneurs that don't know their numbers. And even earlier this year, I thought I knew my numbers, but then when I sat down with my accountant, who is like also a CFO, he's like, "You're not tracking enough." And I thought I was tracking a lot. And he clearly said, your KPIs don't align with where you want to go. Can we chat a little bit about KPIs and like what they should be tracking? Like, what are the numbers that they should be looking at on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to actually hit their goals? Because I'll give you an example. Aldo was on a call yesterday with a guy who's like, "Hey, I want to."
And just so people know, Aldo is one of your sales people.
Yeah, Aldo is one of my business developers. Yeah. So on a call with Aldo the other day, and we were chatting about how he's speaking to an agent who wants to do 30 deals this year, but he hasn't sold anything this year. It's like you're not like, it's just like, let's be realistic. It's March the 2nd at the time. Yeah, March 2nd yesterday. You haven't done any deals. Nothing's closed. You don't even have nothing in escrow.
Right.
You're not doing 30 deals this year. It's just like, you might, but like you're going to need to invest a lot in order to get there, because you did 12 last year. And now you want to do 30 and you're not tracking your numbers. So let's chat a little bit about KPI tracking, the importance of it, and why it's just near impossible to actually reach goals without KPI tracking.
Well, I want to get to tracking, but I also want to get to this notion of, so one of the clients that works with us in Trega, she has another coach that she's in agreement with for another 6 months. And the coach said to her, "Hey, I'm going to just use funny, like round numbers." The coach said, "Hey, you need to make $500,000 next year." And she goes, "Okay, cool." Well, the last 3 years she's made $150,000. Right. Yeah. So she wanted to make 250, then she wanted to make 350, then she wanted to make 500. Or 350 or whatever the numbers were, but somehow or another they came up with this number of 500, but she's never got close to that number. Mm-hmm. And so the coach then says, for 2022, because you missed the 500 and because you missed the 300 and because you missed this, we need to do 850 for 2022. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, you missed your goals. You can't make up for those. Like they're gone. So what's realistic and what's like a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal? But when the number's 800,000 and you've never hit 400, it's not necessarily that it's a skill set. It's a mindset. It's a skill set. Like, what are the real issues that are holding you back? Because I could say, okay, Cody, I want to do $10 million this year.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, Vic, I don't think that's realistic. Why? I want to do it. Like, now, can I do it? Sure. Is it possible to do it? Absolutely. But based on my trajectory of where I'm at and where our business is at, 10 million is probably a stretch this year.
And you also have to look at delivery, and that's the other element. It's like 850,000. How many do I have to? How many homes do I need to sell in order to do 850? Like it's just not realistic. So
even at $1 million, right, with a 2.25% commission, even at $1 million, you're talking about 30 houses.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not doable, right? Like I know people that their first year, they do 30, 40, 50 houses, right? It's not that it's undoable. It's just, if you got kids and a husband and a wife and a dog and a cat and a cherry tree and all these things you got to take care of, something's gonna break along the lines. And it's
Totally.
typically the relationships that you're working hard for are gonna break. And so we got to learn how to build a team and things of that nature, which, we talk about that all in the Real Estate Growth Academy. We talk about team building, hiring processes, like what do you look for, how to do a disc profile, how to read a disc profile, how to administer a disc profile, how to get people to take a disc profile, right? We talk about how you hire the people that might not be the people you like, but they're the people you need because they're your opposites, right? But to go back to tracking and KPIs, but I wanted to just mention that, like, people throw these arbitrary numbers out because they sound great, but they don't have any backing to it. They don't have a why to it. So they're not sticky. But when you go, like, we're covering a lot of space in a short period of time, y'all. I hope you guys save this one and write things down. When you track, there's kind of there's two things that you kind of need to track. And I'm really basic with tracking because, let's be honest, Cody, I don't like tracking. Most agents don't like tracking, right? And the reason why we get along is because we're drivers. We like to just work. We don't want to like sit down and slow down. So I would track the number of phone calls you make, or the amount of text messages, DMs, Instagram messages, any type of outreach, right? And I know when we're out at like restaurants and bars and cafes and Starbucks, like you should be talking to people, but you might not track those because those are like more organic in the moment. So when you're sitting down from 8 to 10 and 9 to 11, whatever your time is, it could be 8:30 to 10:30, 8:15 to 10:15. I don't care what your time is. Just schedule it and commit to it. Every outreach you should just mark on a little whiteboard or on a little piece of paper, right? Ideally, you have like just a little notebook that you're tracking daily on, and you just put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? However many you do. Then you can track the number of conversations you've had, right? So if somebody picks up the phone and says hello and hangs up with you, I consider that a conversation. Mm-hmm. If somebody responds on a DM and says, hey, what's up? But you can't get them to commit to another line of text, that's a conversation, right? Because we got to just standardize it. So any communication from the other side back that's not an automated communication is a conversation. Put a little check mark there. If you book an appointment, check mark there. If they show to the appointment, check mark there. If you close a sale, check mark, right? And you're going to eventually see that, okay, on average, I made 3,000 calls in the month of March. I had 36 appointments booked. I had 18 appointments show up. I closed one deal. Mm-hmm. Well, now you know it takes 3,000 calls to close a deal. Now you know it takes 36 appointments to close a deal. Now you know it takes 18 showed appointments to close a sale. So now it's like, oh, okay, I want to do 10 deals. I got to make 6,000 calls. Holy crap. I don't have time to make 6,000 calls. Yeah. Well, now we can talk about where do we improve your skills, right? Now you come into the Growth Academy and you're like, yo, it took me 3,000 calls to make a sale. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of calls. Yeah. I know that your process is broken. 36 appointments set, 50 show. Where are the leads coming from? Mm-hmm. Right? That's depending on the lead source, that may or may not be a good number, right? But it seems kind of low. So you're getting people to book, but maybe you're so high pressure that they're booking to get you off the phone. Let's slow that down. Let's analyze that. Let's figure that out. Like, take a breath, homie. You don't have to rush through the call. They're not leaving once they give you permission to have a conversation, right? And so those are like your daily numbers you track. And then my team created a dashboard based off of just your monthly sales, right? So we just put in there your pending and your closed sales, and there's a dashboard that my team created, and you just put in your sales. And so you can look at that once a week, right? So you now know how many calls it takes to an appointment, how many calls it takes to a show an appointment, how many calls it takes to a sale. And then on your monthly side, right, you know how many sales you're at. So if you want to do 30 deals a year and you're at 3 and it's August, we might want to reanalyze where you're at, because that's probably like a little daunting for one. And it's probably also not possible because if it took you 9 months to do 3, how are you going to do in 3 months 27? That's 9 a month on yourself. Like it almost becomes to the point where you're like, screw this, let's just start again in
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it ends up creating like, and this is why it's so important to track your numbers. And whether you join the Real Estate Growth Academy eventually or not, like I think the lesson here is like discipline. The lesson is track your numbers, really understand your lead sources, where are your leads coming from. I just find so many agents struggle with like hitting their goals or even like getting to the next level in their business because they don't track their numbers and they don't have discipline. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, like what other things can real estate agents do in order to grow their business in a 2022 environment? It looks like I lost you, but yeah, I lost Vikram,
Nope,
but
I'm
I'm
still
here.
here.
Cool. So
Sorry, I told you my the one day that my cleaner comes on time, she's
oh yeah, there you go. There you
you
go.
might see her in the
You're going to
background.
see somebody in the background cleaning Vikram's apartment, but that's actually a good segue to, talk about virtual assistants and talk about, the power of outsourcing. Like you're obviously a big proponent of outsourcing and
Yeah,
using virtual
bro.
assistants. Yeah. Like, like how do they do that? Like how do real estate agents find a virtual assistant? How do they train them? Why should they do it? When should they do it? What advice you have?
So going back to your original questions, the top 3 things that helped me grow quickly was one, my mindset was always to build a team, right?
Mhm.
So I always knew that it's not going to be me solo, right? If you want to go
Yeah.
fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, there are times where you need to sprint out in front of other people,
Mhm.
right? But for the most part, you need to know when to hire. So I hired an assistant when I was at like $3 million in business. Again, it was one of those fun conversations where my ex-wife was going to chop my hand off. And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to hire an assistant. You don't need an assistant. You could do like, oh man, it was crazy. Hired a coach and then I hired an assistant. Now, virtual assistants, right, were not as big 10 years ago as they are now.
Yeah.
So they weren't as well trained. Now you can get virtual assistants that are so well trained. But the easiest thing is take a yellow piece of paper and a pen and just write down the different things you do. Like this is a master course right now that people are getting in like 45 minutes.
I know. Yeah.
Uh,
Now we're going to
like
wrap this up in a second because you've given so much value and I appreciate you for that.
no. Like, dude, like give it away for free because you know what? Like, here's the thing that I've always been taught, and you've been taught too. It's like just keep giving it away for free, and eventually it'll stick. Because I want you guys to join us, but if you don't join us, I want you guys to win. The average real estate agent makes less after dues and taxes and fees than you would make being a McDonald's like shift manager. And I don't like that because there is so much potential, but you take your stuff out and you write everything down. You write everything down. Hold on one second.
So for those that are listening back on the on iTunes, we're stopping here for a second because Vikram's cleaner is in the background. So it's it's pretty fun. It's fun stuff.
Dude, it's always like this when I record on podcasts or
That's
something.
awesome. I love it.
It's amazing. So write your systems down.
Yeah.
Like write everything down that you do. Right? Just write it down. Like this is what we do for a buyer. This is what we do for a seller. This is what we do when we get a new virtual lead or a new online lead. This is what we do with our open houses. This is right. Write all of this stuff down. Like I share with our group some of my protocols. Like I had a protocol. It was like 17 steps on how to win an offer.
Okay.
Bro, it still is better than 95, maybe 99% of agents offers now, because as I was teaching it to the group, I realized because some of the people have been with me longer, I merged 2 groups together. So I had another mastermind that I merged with our mastermind. And I realized that they weren't winning a lot of offers like they should be because I didn't teach them this component. Like we talked about how to talk to the agent. We talked about this, but I didn't give them the checkpoint. So I went into my Dropbox. I looked for the, the offer checklist, and it's like 17 points on how to write a winning offer. We should maybe we should give that away as a bonus.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll throw it in. Like when I send this email out, get that to me. I'll send this in an email to the list, and
just give us your email address, and we'll send you the bonus. Like we'll make it a little thing, but it's like 17 points on how to communicate with the agent, how to write the offer, right? Like all the things that we needed to do to win in our market. And people want to make things so complicated, bro. Like, oh man, we are the king of complexity. But if we just make everything really simple, just write it down on a yellow pad paper. Yeah. And then that's, you just take a picture of it and you send it to your person who works in the Philippines or they work in Colombia. And you're like, yo, put this into I use Google because it's all online. Totally. Put this into a Google Doc, right? Put this in a Google Doc and name it this. And then there's like, a bunch of systems that we use. So we're using like Monday.com, and we're using Slack, and we're using Loom. We use a lot of Zoom, right? So there's all these different systems that we use, right? You have a CRM, right? There's all these different systems that you use, and you just have them write down everything. Or you get on a Loom call one day and you're like, hey, here's what I'm doing here. Here's what I'm doing here. Here's what I'm doing here. And then you start building libraries, and that's how you start to build your systems. And they're so simple to start. And then you can get like a program. Like if you got a bigger team, there's a program called Trainual. It's $50 a month for 5 users. And your team starts to use that, and there's quizzes. And that's how you start teaching your people.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like
a little shout out to our software. We have a built-in membership portal to our software. So if you're already a client, then just don't get Trainual, just use ours. We have a membership portal. You're all good. We got you.
Even if like they're building a team, there's a portal?
There's a portal. There's a membership portal inside the software.
Dude, I must say, like, I've used a lot of CRMs. You guys have a built-in dialer. You guys have like, holy crap. When I used your guys' CRM like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, and I saw the dialer built in, I saw how like everything like drag and drops from one area to the next area. It was like a dude doing a done board, but like for your leads. And I was like, holy crap. Like, this is so intuitive. Like you could tell you guys were not in real estate and you designed the software for like ease of use. And then you guys got into like the real estate marketing afterward.
Totally. Yeah.
You can tell because you got to be from outside the space to disrupt it.
Totally.
And I was like, dude, this is such a dope CRM. Like I've never seen such a clean CRM when it's like functionality wise.
So we try to simplify everything, and it, like, some people have difficulty using it, but like, a lot of people have difficulty. A lot of people have difficulty using every CRM. So, I want to wrap it up here, with maybe like, what is something that you think every realtor should know right now in the marketplace in order to be successful in 2022?
I mean, it's hard, dude. There's in North America, I think there's 2 to 2.5 million active realtors. There's like 300,000 houses at any given time on the market. So, maybe 400,000. Now we're going to the spring. Maybe we get to 5 or 6, 700,000, but there's 3 to 1 realtors. I literally got a text message today from a friend. She's like, hey, can I refer my buddy to you? I'm like, yeah, no worries. The guy's brand new. He's been in the market for 4 months. He's made 0 sales. He's like, I think I need to quit. I'm like, you're going at it alone. Yeah. Like, it sucks because a lot of people are good intentioned, but they don't. So when I flipped houses, the first thing we did was the front yard. And everybody was like, yo, don't do the front yard first. The contractors are going to screw it up. Your plants are going to die. Everything's going to be dead. I said, you know what? I would rather there be clean grass than it be dead dirt.
Yeah. Well, 100%. Yeah. That's like the first thing you do when you walk up to a house is,
most people, they they don't get to curb appeal because they ran out of money doing the flip, because when you
Yeah.
start opening walls, you start having problems, and you got to
Yeah.
fix those in order to get your permit, right?
Yeah.
So once you open a wall up, you're screwed. You got to fix it, what you find. Otherwise, the inspector won't give you your permit.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so what the challenge is these people get into real estate. They think it's going to be easy. That's your big mistake. It's going to be hard. It's going to kick your butt. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the calls. You got to put in the prospecting,
Yeah.
but you got to have a budget. Like, dude, where else can you work with, and get into a business where you can make millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on a $1,500 investment and 120 hours?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
Majority
so,
of, and you got to look at yourself as a business owner. Like,
yeah,
and like, if you look at the money that people invest into starting businesses, like it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like,
my last business was $350,000,
yeah.
and COVID hit 13 months into us being open. And it was in the health and wellness space in California.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we were able to stay afloat, like, we weren't bringing new people in during COVID. Like, it was our current clientele that supported us that kept us afloat. Totally. It was a $300,000+ investment.
Yeah. And it's just reality. You got to spend money in business in order to make money, especially when you're starting out. You have to you have to set aside some money in order to get started. So totally hear you, man.
You got to be able to get a credit card. Here's what I say. If you believe in yourself, and here's why most people don't get coaching. They don't actually believe they will be successful. So they don't want to take on that expense, or they don't want to do the work. So they don't want to take on that risk, because they're like, well, if this doesn't work right now, I leave with nothing. But if I put $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or $10,000 on a credit card, I have to pay that off with my next job. So it's just easier. Like, I could tell you story after story. One of my friends, she got into real estate back last year, and she's like, I'm going to give it 90 days. I'm like, 90 days isn't enough.
No,
I was like,
not at all.
I was like, you need to join the program. And she's like, can I be honest with you? She goes, I'm scared. I said, what are you scared about? She goes, well, what if I don't make a sale? I said, then you don't make a sale. She's like, so if I invest with you a couple $1,000s and I don't make any money, then I have to pay that couple thousand back. I was like, so you're already quitting before you started.
Yeah.
And 90 days later, guess what? She quit real estate, which is probably good, because we don't need any more realtors.
Yeah.
But she had the personality. She's had so much fear.
Yeah. Something I'll add, and something I'll close up with here, and then give you an opportunity to kind of close up. I look at, and like my old business partner, Neil and Nora, both of them, they're no longer with the company now. They've both one went on to a different venture, one retired. 3 years ago, I was not making any money. Like I went through 6 months of not making a single dime. We had payroll to pay. We had and I did the same thing. I went to them. I said, I know we're struggling right now. I know video is struggling right now. Like, we're trying to pay payroll. We lost a really big client at the time. I'm like, I really think by us investing in this program with Kat Howell at the time, so she was a Facebook marketer, that is going to give me the confidence, give me the knowledge in order to help build this thing to what it is today. And literally, we spent the $15,000 for the coaching program. And if they were super, it took me a little bit of finessing in order to get them to do it. But that is the single reason. And this is why I say all the time, I believe so much in the in coaching communities, because that's the single reason that I'm here today. If I hadn't made that $15,000 investment, I wouldn't have been here. I can very confidently say that I would not be here today, because I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the blueprint. I didn't have the map in order to make it happen. And that gave me the map to make things happen. And I went on to invest in other coaching programs and meet other people and connect me with other people. But people say there's no shortcuts in life. And I think that's so stupid. I think that's the most stupid thing you can say by saying there's no shortcuts in life. The reason being is because the coaching community has showed me that there are absolutely shortcuts. It's about finding a map and working with somebody who's already been where you want to go. For me, the reason we launched Real Estate Growth Academy is I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer through and through. I've never built a real estate business. I don't have there was something in the back of my head. I'm like, I want to help real estate agents, But in order to actually do that, I need to partner with somebody that's actually built a real estate business. And that's why we created the Real Estate Growth Academy. And that's why I believe so wholeheartedly in coaching. And I really thank you. I really honor you, Vikram, for today, because I think you provided so much value to the real estate community, provided so much value to the entrepreneurial community around sales, around discipline, around marketing, around investing, around coaching. If somebody were to want to reach out to you and want to hire you as their coach, where can they reach you?
Yeah, just go to Instagram, Coach Vikram Deol, or you can shoot me an email. But Instagram's a lot faster, or Facebook Messenger. I guess I became more with the times, and emails tend to be spam and bills, whereas stuff on Instagram is a little bit more personal.
Totally.
And going to what you said, look, you guys, what we charge to be a part of our community and what you get with the community, we have people that are, few people that are brand new, but most people are 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, and some are high 6 figures in the community. So you're getting access to not just me, but you're getting access to a group of people that want to see you win, want to see you succeed, want to support you, right? Like, they're not jealous of your success. Like, if they see you doing well, they're going to ask you. Vice versa, if you ask them, they're going to support you, right? So you get to join a community of people that are doing what you're doing. And when you have questions, one of the biggest challenges, Cody, and you and I, like, I love that we were introduced by Sharon, but one of the biggest challenges is that most people suffer in silence. They think they have to do everything by themselves. They think they have to do it in the dark. And there are other people that want to hold your hand, and they're going through the same crap you are.
Right. Yeah, totally.
And all you got to do is just say hello. And what you might think is an expense will be the greatest investment in your life. And I can tell you, if I didn't, lock myself in that closet, or not closet, but the bedroom at that old ass house with the ex-wife, like, trying to break the frame down and hire the coach. Like, if I didn't do that, I probably would have had success, but I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you more than you know. Really do honor your time today. And yeah, if you want to join Real Estate Growth Academy, either reach out to myself or reach out to Vikram. Just send us a DM with the word Trega. That's what we call it, Trega, the Real Estate Growth Academy. And we'll get you some information. But Vikram, thank you. And thank you once again for tuning into another episode of the Studio PTBO podcast. If you're listening back on iTunes or Spotify and you want more information about the Real Estate Growth Academy, send me an email at info@studioptbo.com. We'll get you some info about how you joined in the community. And if you're looking for appointments for your business, we do that as well. I want to say thank you, Vikram. I want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of Studio PTBO podcast. We'll see y'all soon.